45 minutes ago, again, you'll be sent more information later that will offer additional references and resources so you continue your learning, and then including like videos that you can look at or listen to, and hopefully written documents too. One of the big things that technology is supposed to help with is the idea of collaboration and working more efficient. One of the big challenges with that is we have three big concepts that if I feel if we don't address, bad things happen. So the first one is, instead of going the different route, so TPP, tools, process, and people. It won't help us too much if we use tools that are too pricey or no one knows how to use. It won't help too much if we have a hero type person, right, or a high skill person trying to do all the work, because if they win the lottery or they switch clubs or whatever happens, they take off, something happens, they get promoted, they move away, it all goes bye-bye. Then straight up people, again, they can switch clubs. Anytime we collaborate, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be honest conflict, there's going to be miscommunication. And so that's why I really stress putting a process in place to document the stuff so that those problems and conflicts are less frequent and less intense and less personal and less emotional, because you guys can just go, look, this is what we wrote. If you didn't understand it, why not? You know, this was the intent, and then just go from that, because working together is challenging. Okay, so one of the first things I suggest is, telling a story. So you have, I'm just going to go with the leadership structure. You have a president who wants to do things in their year, or you have a director. But for ease, to remember things, I'm going to suggest letter P for president, right? So we have a president. And so this is where I would suggest you write down P, and we'll call our president Pauline, right? And underneath, you could write president so you can track with me, right? So we have a president Pauline, who wants to collaborate and do projects. But unfortunately, in the time of COVID, the fact that Rotarians are busy, business owners, highly active, getting people together is difficult. But if we were doing a business meeting or a project planning meeting, talking about it is great, but doing the documentation is necessary so that we can do the follow-up and we can hit the metrics or the agreed upon goals of the project program or intent. So Pauline has a need to collaborate online. Pauline talks with a Rotarian whose vocation is IT, and she tells Pauline, hey, there's all kinds of ways of doing it, but in my opinion, the simplest way is setting up a Gmail account. Here's a term you may not know, role-based, a role-based Gmail account. So I just talked about 5 to 10 minutes. Susan, do we have any questions from the group so far?
Right now, we do not have questions. We've had several people weigh in with where they're from, their skill level, and what type of computer they're using, and I've recorded that. So no questions so far.
And thank you for anticipating that. Again, Murphy just showed up. I forgot to ask you to do that, so thank you. So Pauline decides, because Pauline doesn't have time to investigate everything, she takes it on faith. So she takes it on faith that there's other options, but she is going to just take the vocational suggestion for a Gmail account setup. So just to show you, this is what I mean. I have role-based accounts for different things that I do. All Gmail, because it's easier for me to use Gmail. even though I kind of in a lot of ways prefer Microsoft Office 365 for advanced features, but for collaboration, Gmail is the fastest, easiest way. So we're going to go and create a fictional Rotary Club on a Gmail account. So I'm going to create Gmail account. And again, this would be a step one you might want to write down, make Gmail account role-based. So I'm click account, and there's different ways of setting up. Just doing it really quick. I'm just going to call it, just because I'm just doing it really quick, my last name, Rotary Club. So here is where you would probably want to go password, right? Password management. This drives people nuts. This is a topic that if you need help with, Susan, please take notes. If anyone has questions on project management or password management, send Susan a chat so that I can focus my time and response on the greatest requests. So password management. So I'm creating a password. So again, every time I do this, I become left-handed and I can't do anything. It's like, I can't type. Okay, so Google Voice. You may want to write a post-it notes or a note to yourself. One of the nice things about the Gmail family of products is that you get a product called Google Voice if you choose to, so that your club can get a telephone number, a virtual telephone number dedicated to itself. The other, and I'll show you this in a second, but it does cause problems because it takes over a cell phone. And that's something, again, that if you have questions on that and the suggested best practices, you're going to want to put a message to Susan. This is called two-step authentication. This is a security feature. If that word I just said, you don't know what it means, again, you may want to write it down and put a chat for Susan to have a vote system. Again, the skill levels are very different, and no one is being, we're ignorant, not stupid. So ignorant is where you don't know something, but you can't, Now, if you look at the screen, it says you got more information, receive video calls and messages. So both Office 365 and Google have that feature. We're going quick, so I'm just going to click yes. This is the terms of use that no one ever reads. If you're really curious, you may want to read it. I've read it before. You can't modify it, so I'm just going to say okay. And if you don't agree, you can't continue. So now this is where it gets pretty cool, because now Pauline, our president, has this whole suite right here, pointing to you like you can see my hand, this whole suite of tools built into the role-based Gmail account that we're calling the Rotary Club of Fortuna. Okay, so I have got a YouTube account created automatically in addition to my email. There's a market created right now for online applications for meeting. Google Hangouts, which you may have never heard about, is built into your role-based Google account for President Pauline. Pauline, our president, also gets a built-in calculator. Pauline, our president, who's organizing these sessions and projects, also has a built-in translator. Pauline, our president, also has now the ability to store low resolution photos online for free that can be shared later. And that is a benefit if you have the Gmail family of applications on your phone. I do not have an iPhone currently. Fresno State, I'm broke. But I do have an iPad. It does operate a little differently than that. And that's why I was asking, I should have remembered the OSs. And now again, Susan, for the next time, I need to ask about mobile devices. Okay, so I need mobile devices. But again, our president now, in one simple task of creating a role-based account, has laid the IT infrastructure for online collaboration at a very awesome level with high usage. So most people will be familiar with this. Some people, again, I have a Hotmail account. Okay, so that's from like 1993. I was the second person in my high school to get dial-up. And if you don't know what dial-up means, okay, so this is all done for Google, via Google. So I'm going to the email account. And so now you could, what I suggest for this portion is now Pauline, stop using Pauline's personal email. And Pauline creates a signature. I'm going to write it down because we don't have time to cover it. A signature. You can Google it and look it up, but if you're not familiar with what I'm referring to, write down signature. Chat Susan will respond, and use this role-based account again instead of the personal, because Pauline is not a dictator, right? And she's gonna the next year relinquish the service share she has to our next serving president. And now Pauline, back to password management would give the password to the next president. There's also email forwarding or email copying. Might want to write it down, Chat Susan, where I call it the Three Musketeers. Your current president, your past president, and then was it elect, right? You may want to always copy those three when anything is sent from this email, and encourage people to send any emails related to the club to the president. Now you can get fancy and create multiple role-based email accounts for your club. One thing that you need to think of, one thing I suggest you think about is what's called naming conventions, right? You wouldn't want to have, with our fictional Rotary Club, Rotary Fortuna, that's the name of the club. You wouldn't want to have RF president and then have Rotary Fortuna Club period VP. You see what I'm saying? Naming conventions. We don't have a lot of time to go over that. So again, I'm trying to get 8 minutes in, but I'm going about 10. I spoke about 10 minutes. Susan, do we have any questions that are timely for this portion?
We have one person asking about the password management. We have another person who asked the question, wanting to know how you feel about the LastPass application for password organization.
Okay, so we have two questions on the topic password management. Okay, so those are discussions that will take 10 to 15 minutes by themselves. So Susan, just document that we had two people request password management, and then briefly one asked about LastPass, and then I'll respond. So there's always the problem. This is like weight management, working out, piano playing. And this is the way I'm kind of drawn to it. It's constant. So you always have to. I recommend very few tools or companies to use as possible. Okay. Having said that, password management, we're good. We didn't seem to have any questions on the associated family of products. Here comes the interesting parts now. Okay. So
Peter.
Yes.
Okay, I've had a couple pop-ups since we paused.
Okay.
So someone is asking if you can import club contacts from DACDB.
So note that Google allows for importing of contacts. Off the top of my head, I do not know if DACDB does, but I'm pretty sure it does. Yes, you can, because you can download your club members' information in an Excel format, and you can download and get the email addresses of your club members. But again, that's a step. If you need help, if anybody needs help exporting contacts from exporting contacts from DACDB, please chat Susan now, so that I can focus my time on the most requested steps. So having said that, yes, you will be able to export and import your contacts from DACDB into the Google family, as well as the Microsoft 365 family if you want to. Because to be honest, in a way, I almost feel like as Rotarians, we should petition Bill Gates and Microsoft to give us Microsoft Office 365. And I'm thinking about doing a project or some kind of grant doing something like that. But that's me. And I also would, I'm off topic, but I also would like to request from a university access to the software, in that we can create a partnership with the university systems and service projects, Rotary projects. Okay, so back on topic. Pauline, our president, wants to collaborate with other people. Pauline doesn't have the time to invest on this research. She's ignorant, not stupid. She's busy, not silly, blah, blah, blah. She got advice, created a Gmail account. She's created a role-based Gmail account. Again, you can create multiple Gmail accounts based on the role and the need. So treasury, public relations, IT support, training. Those are the types of role-based accounts you may want to think about. So I have a Rotary account already. I'm going to pretend I'm the IT person. So Pauline sends me, an email. By the way, you may want to write down my peter.fortuna.rotary@gmail.com email address if you need help. But again, I would prefer us to get it, capture as much in the chat. See what I produce after the session. And then if questions aren't answered, then you can email me. So our leader is Pauline, President Pauline, and she's sending an email from our presidential or a club account for the Rotary Club of Fortuna. I probably should have named it something different now that I think about it, but too late. So I always suggest that you copy the club itself, right? And then you say naming convention. So you may want to have subject stuff, right? Or shorten things. So this might be, I'm just going to, see, this is why I'm saying it. I should have named it something different. Rotary Club, Fortuna Club, IT email setup. And I like to put the subject again in the body because people have different devices and it displays differently. So now she sends it off. This has been, so I failed something here. I forgot to mention I'm using Chrome. So I'm using a browser, Chrome. I'm using Chrome because it gives me the built-in feature of allowing me to combine my Gmail accounts into one login. This is, so email account security is a big topic. You may want to write it down, chat Susan, And you may want to specifically, if you don't know what I'm referring to, with the ability to log into multiple accounts on the Chrome browser, you may want to ask or post that to Susan so that I can focus my time. I'm able to switch on the browser between my Rotary Gmail account, role-based, to my Pauline personality, role-based club account. So I suggest doing this again because now you have an historical email archival online. I suggest creating a role-based account with Google or Microsoft 365 because it gives you photo storage. So now we're going to be pausing a second. Does everyone understand, Susan, so far? Any questions related to the story we're telling with Pauline?
Yes.
Okay.
We just wanted to, we have one person who wants to confirm that we would be passing the account to the next president at the end of the year.
These are suggestions, not commands. This is what I would suggest. I would say is a best practice, but it is by no means an order, and this is not a mandate, policy, dictate from Rotary International, or none of this is an order issue mandate from Rotary International, Rotary 5230, or any Rotary club. This is vocational member Peter Fortuna making suggestions that I think would help you based on his experience at Fresno State and helping this with all kinds of different clubs.
And then we have several people interested in learning how to export, import contacts from DAC-DB.
Okay, so we'll respond to that later offline. So we're telling a story. Now, Pauline is working with, unfortunately, a guy named Peter. So that means my P's aren't going to work very well. So let's do this. Mike, we're going to make up a member, Mike. And Mike wants to work with her, right? No, we're just going to stick with the story. It's me and Pauline. Next time I'll probably use like maybe an L for the leader or something. But let's go with Pauline and Peter. Pauline just sent me the email. I got the email. Good job. We're good, right? So now, here's where Pauline is going to really start to use the power of the cloud and collaboration. This is where it gets awesomer, I guess. So now we're using the Gmail family. Again, you have all these apps, all these software, all these tools by clicking the waffle grid menu. Account management, again, you can change that R, right, to a different picture, right? If you need help, chat Susan. This is how you tell the difference, is what I'm trying to get across, so that I'm not using the Google Drive, the online cloud, as Peter. I'm using it as our president, Pauline. So Pauline got to that screen again by clicking the waffle menu and then Drive. This web page now opened up, and it says a place for all your files. It is. You can store all your files here. There's a paid version called G Suite that gives you more features, but everything I'm showing you is free. So now she created this online storage for her files. It says you can use Microsoft Office files, or you can use the Google Docs, Sheets, and other applications that are copies of Microsoft or similar to Microsoft products. So now we're getting into our a challenging point now. Remember, our tools, our process, and our people. Our 3, 4, and 5 Rotarian members, as far as computer skill, will have probably no problem understanding what Google's Docs, Sheets, and Slides are. Our 1, 2s, and 3s may have challenges. I'm just going to show you the Google software because this is a business relationship between Microsoft and Google, and in the past it didn't work very well and you had to do additional steps to get it to work. If you did it wrong, you created copies of things which would break the system. Okay, so now we're talking about the cloud, right? We're not going to really discuss the Microsoft Office files that you can use with the Google products. We're just going to focus on the Google Sheets, Docs, and Slides, always considering our tools, processes, and people, and then security. You do not want to store your passwords on any of these documents outright. This is password management. Again, I will discuss that later. Hashes. For our 4s and 5s, you can use these documents in part with a hashed password. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. So moving on, now we're talking about our online storage. She emailed me. Pauline emailed me. I have now known she's doing this. I would suggest that you create folders for your year of work. This is a naming convention. This is a suggestion, not command. And then in here, so now we're talking about collaboration. In here, there's different permission levels. We don't have time to dive into permission levels. If you do not know what permission levels are, which I anticipate many of us do not, so we're going to write a document on that. But still, if you would chat Susan so that we can appropriately time our responses or invest our time to respond quickly. So here, in review, Pauline, president, is using a role-based account, rotary.fortuna@gmail. Pauline, our president, clicked the waffle menu, and Pauline, our president, went to the software application Drive. Clicked on that. This opened up. Pauline, our president, created a folder for our year 2020. We are now in our year 2020 folder. Pauline is going to use Google Docs. For our 1, 2s, and 3s, Google Docs is Google's version of Microsoft Office's Microsoft Word. And this is great. Thanks, IT Peter. So she just wrote me a letter. I'm clicking. I just named it. I click the share button, and now I'm going to share it with my Rotary-based email account. Click send. Over here on my Rotary-based Peter account, I click inbox. There, depending on what your email system is, it will show up in different folders or inboxes or labels or tags. For my Gmail account, it shows up in updates on invite. I say, okay, I got it. I know it's from Susan. I know it's from Pauline. I click open, and I'm now in it. And if you notice, I don't remember how to zoom the screen in really fast. Oh, of course. So right here, it says Rotary Fortuna. Notice, again, I was in Peter. I clicked the link. It took me to a new browser window. The icon now changed from me to President Pauline, but this is me, Peter, typing. But over here for President Pauline on the left, she's seeing the typing. So this is what's called co-authoring. So that's how you can create documents online and collaborate with other people. So now I close the document. I'm reopening it just to show you the changes showed up. And now Peter can always get in here and look at it. But what I would suggest is like this kind of stuff. I'm not going to list them all. This is just for quick reference. Those of you that are familiar with writing documents and stuff, I would suggest you create like a book online. So I'm inserting a table of contents, and then I'm using the built-in features like they have in Word to create a structure. And so I'm using what are called headings, and those of you that write or have done this kind of stuff, you'll see that it creates a structure. So again, I'm closing this on my President Pauline account. I'm going to this other browser again, that is my Peter IT account, and I see all the changes. Okay, so I did another 11 minutes. Susan, do we have any questions? Getting closer though.
Okay, we have a couple things that sort of relate back to what the last part that you did on security. From a security standpoint, is it better to communicate through the DACDB or using these email accounts?
DACDB is a company. Google's a company. They have federal restrictions and requirements, legal stuff they have to do. So in theory, they're supposed to be just as safe in a lot of ways. I have not vetted either one of them. I rely on experts to do that, and then I pick what I try to think of as the best experts. So in theory, they're both supposed to be safe. What typically happens with security breaches is people don't log out of the system. Again, I said don't store the passwords fully on these documents online. People will store them fully online. People will email the passwords. That's where the security typically comes in. Somebody had asked about LastPass. I was a user of LastPass, going on a sidebar, but I was a user of LastPass in the past, and there was an exposure of the data. And that, to me, isn't the problem. The problem was the delay in releasing the exposure information to the people that were affected. But Target's done that. Wells Fargo's. I mean, it's a constant thing. That's why I keep saying try to keep it down as much as you can as far as the tools you use and the people that are given access to the tools, and then you document the process so that again conflict is reduced, all that stuff's reduced. So the quick answer is they should be as safe as each other.
Okay, and then we have two more here. For online storage, do you have a suggestion for a program to use for large files such as videos?
YouTube. So I suggest using YouTube.
Okay.
My son is here. Yes, sir.
And then I think
side door open.
we have another question here, and I think we're going to have more of this type of thing.
So give me 1 second.
If we can have more training.
Yes, it's okay.
On the sharing of Google Documents
The door's closed.
In Google and making sharing folders. And I think because we are starting to get short on time too, Peter, maybe you could ask them to chat me with topics that they would like to see related to tech, because there's so much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But what I've shown, so email Susan if you have questions like that. As far as video, that's the last part we're going to go over, because that's one of the big things with Rotary, right? So okay. So when you have this, we talked about photos. They get automatically uploaded when you use that account. Some of you will have the ability to have multiple accounts, like you'll have a secure folder, or the ability to make copies of your apps so that you can use a program as you and your role-based personality that store the videos for you, again, right here on the Google photo. But video is another thing, right? Because we want to promote our projects and programs. So this is now again, notice that I clicked and the picture changed. I have access and control the official Rotary District 5230 YouTube channel. So I click on this, I'm on the official, which you guys should subscribe to, right? I'm on the official Rotary District 5230, and here's our videos. Notice there's the upload post or video. So if you create your profile on your phone and you record a video, you access YouTube on your phone as your role-based personality, you click upload video, now you have a free online storage for your large videos that can be shared and worked on with other people. Sidebar, additional stuff, because you can assign collaborators in YouTube just like you can in Facebook and other things. So the question was video. My suggestion, YouTube through your role-based account. But again, we don't have time for all the other discussions, right? So how does Peter, this guy over here, share those videos? That's a workflow. There is a solution, again, but that's another 30-minute conversation on its own. So we're going to be wrapping up really quickly here. Again, I suggest you send your questions via chat to Susan so that we can capture them and focus our resources as far as time on the most asked questions or topics. As far as that goes, we're going to be ending fairly quickly here. Does anyone have any questions? I shouldn't have done that. Questions?
We have a question, is a YouTube account free?
Yes. Okay, so again, you may have an issue with YouTube file sizes. Write that down if you run into it. the file size will be restricted until your account is verified. So if you have, like this video here is an hour 32. Until your account is verified, I think the most you'll be able to load is like 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. But there's workarounds for that too. So there's apps on your phone that you can edit video, chop it up, and all that kind of stuff. That's beyond the scope of this introductory. Here's some IT tips. Any other questions, team?
We have people who would like to have help with how to upload a video from a phone to YouTube.
So, yeah.
And also there was a question of where this class will be loaded to, or where the recording of the session will be, sorry, and it will be on the district website.
It will
so
be
if you want to go back and review.
Yeah, it will be on the district website as well as on the district YouTube channel, and probably my channel too. So again, I'm a Rotarian whose vocation is IT and project management and conflict resolution. I had to learn conflict resolution because of the IT and project management. So again, you will get frustrated. Allow yourself to have your emotions. Allow yourself to learn and not learn, and make it fun. It can be very stressful. So again, I'm here to help if you need help. But I do have limited time and resources. So again, try to get your stuff in the chat. I'll respond to all the messages in the chat based on the number of topics that are hit. And then if your answers aren't found there, then you can email me. Any other questions? It's 10 o'clock. Wow, we did really good.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, we're
super
officially
informational.
Yeah, we're officially.
And I think we're going to need you back.
Yeah, we're officially over at 10. I'll be here